Sam, welcome back to the show, my friend.
Thank you very much. We're 100 episodes past the last time. I congratulate you on episode 201 and put me on the schedule for episode 301.
Hopefully you were, for those of you who don't know Sam, go back to episode 101. He talks about his how he came to be a pawnbroker, what his store is doing today. And if you don't know Sam, you're not in the pawn business. You've been living under a rock for some time. But happy to have you back on. And today we're going to talk about something that's special and near and dear to both our hearts, which is essentially what's happening in the pawn industry when it comes to professionalism, right? When it becomes the conversation about being a true professional in the industry. So let's talk about this. You and I have sat down a lot of times and had conversations. What makes a professional pawnbroker? One who takes it serious as a profession, one who is growing a company. You've seen lots of pawn shops around the nation. You've traveled to every conference, most likely. Tell me your thoughts on that.
Well, I treat this as my livelihood, and I treat it as a profession. It's not just a job. I take it very seriously. I follow the laws impeccably as much as I possibly can. I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm far from it, but I know the laws that govern my industry. And if I can comply, I absolutely go out of my way to comply. If I can't comply, I try to do something about it. And hey, look, every business has liabilities. Every business has issues. We choose to cut corners, but when we cut corners, they're educated decisions. We know what the liabilities are, and we don't take unreasonable risks, and we go out of our way to comply with the law, follow the law, and have a good persona to the public.
Now, a lot of people will get angry at you. I know we've been on Google groups together, Facebook groups together.
Nothing new. I've got very thick skin.
Where you'll call people out, but the truth is you've created a very, very successful company. And it's not just because you're a pawnbroker, because you've been studying the business, you've been studying marketing, and you put in the right leadership, you hire the right people. Apart from just following the law, what do you think people need to do in order to grow their business when it comes to taking this seriously as a profession, as you say?
Well, again, if you build it, people will come. If you treat the public correctly, if you are involved in your community, if you have a clean, bright, well-lit store that looks good, that looks approachable, then people will come. And again, people will get mad at me or people will disagree, but I'm a true pawnbroker. My first job is to sell money, to lend money to customers. And I want to do everything that I can do to lend as much money to customers and help my customers be successful in following through and making sure that they pick up their loans. If you can drive your foreclosure rate down, and if you can make sure that customers are successful in picking up their merchandise, and you could get a 4%, 5% foreclosure rate, that means 96% of your customers are picking up the merchandise, you can loan more money, and you can help people make get the money they need to do their business. So basically, I'm here to satisfy the community's needs for a financial institution that they can't normally go to a bank and get a $100 loan or a $500 loan, and they can't normally go to the bank and get a loan in 5 or 10 or 15 minutes. So that we're here to meet a need, and that's what we try to do.
Now, a lot of pawnbrokers that I've spoken to don't speak the way that you do. And what I mean is you're here to meet the need, to help the community. A lot of people just want to make money, right? Rightfully so. You also want to make money in a way. You're a capitalist. You want to make money.
It's a second, again, That's not my main. Yes, I do want to make money. My wife, my wife spends plenty of money. Uh, I'm a simple person. She's not. But so I have to satisfy the boss.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you treat the community right, if you provide a good product, you will make money. And yes, there are instances where people say, "Hey, look, dollar for dollar, I make more money than you." Okay, so what? I just want to do it in the way that I do it, in volume and meeting the need of the community.
Now we're going to go through a whole list of ways to increase your business, right, and expand your client base. But I still want to talk about this professional pawnbroker idea. So one is know the law, right? You said know the law, abide by the law as much as you can, and if you don't, you at least know the liability, right?
Absolutely.
What's another point when it comes to being a professional pawnbroker? One that comes to mind for me is, for example, do your accounting, be kosher, right? Put everything through the books.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm bankable, and I have accountants and bookkeepers, and we get audited on a regular basis. If you're not legitimate, then two things happen. Number one, you're not bankable. If you're not bankable, then you are not going to be able to go to a lending institution and get an interest rate that is affordable. I just was looking at one of the magazines, and there's a company that lends money to pawnbrokers. And it's not that it's bad. They charge 12, 15% APR. I can get money all day long at 5 to 6%. So if I can get money legitimately at 5 to 6%, less than half of what they lend you money at. And if you're borrowing from friends and family, sometimes, hey, look, back in the day, I can remember paying 12 to 18% to friends and family. But I don't have to do that anymore because I have banks that believe in me, that can look at my statements and say, hey, this makes sense. The other thing that happens if you're not bankable, or if you sort of cut corners, is if you can steal from yourself, your employees can steal from you. They know that you're stealing from yourself. And number one, don't hold somebody to a higher standard than you hold yourself to.
What does that mean? Explain real quick what that means, stealing from yourself, because I don't think a lot of people understand the concept.
Well, again, I just recently had an employee that left me about 6 months ago to go to one of my competitors. I was paying her $24 an hour. And so she left my employment. And about 3 months ago, she came back to me and said, I want to come back. Okay, that's fine. But he's paying me $25 an hour. And I said, okay, that's great. I have no problem paying you the extra dollar an hour. She goes, no, you don't understand. He's paying me $10 an hour on a check and $15 an hour under the table.
Cash.
So first of all that cash under the table is coming from the business. Means that, number one, the owner is bringing you a bunch of money home. He's trying to save money on workers' comp. He's trying to save money on, all the taxes and things like that. So he's paying his employees under the table. He's hostage to his employees. All that has to happen is she gets hurt. And then she files for workers' comp. And workers' comp says, okay, you were getting paid, $10 an hour. She goes, no, I was getting paid $25 an hour. Or you get a disgruntled employee that thinks that, gee, you weren't fair to them. Now, I guess the IRS pays a finder's fee. Again, why would you want to hold yourself hostage to that? It's just crazy to me. And just every single dollar that I make goes to the bottom line. It's reported, and I pay my fair share in taxes. I'm not saying that I don't pay my tax accountants money to find me all the legal loopholes that are in the tax code. Again, I have no problem playing on the edges. I have no problem playing on the edges, but I'm not going to go over the edge. When you go over the edge, unfortunately, you know, if I guess it was Beretta that said, don't do the crime if you can't do the time. I don't play that game. I'd rather pay the taxes on it, and I'm not in the 30% tax bracket. I'm a little bit higher. Pay my amount of money to the government and reuse the other, 60% or even 50% that I have left over. So now I can buy a building, I can buy cars, I can spend money. There was this, when I was growing up, there was this old pawnbroker that had a whole safe deposit box full of cash and a safe deposit box full of jewelry.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, look, if you need cash, here it is. I'll give it to you. Just pay me in cash. I said, no, I can't do that. He says, well, here's a bunch of merchandise that I have. Can you sell it and we'll split the profit? And I go, okay, but if I give you the money, I have to report it. And he said, no, you don't have to do that. And I said, how did you end up with all this merchandise and money? He goes, well, that's why I was skimming from the business over the 50 years that I was in business. And again, all that time, if he would have stopped skimming, and if he would have
reported
it, he would be able to buy cars, buy homes, buy assets that go up in value as time goes by, rather than spending it on food and clothes and maybe vacations. I go to these conventions, and everybody's got wads of $100 bills.
Yeah.
And they're all throwing them out there, and they're all doing this seeing who's got the biggest wad. Well, again, I have no problem doing that, but it goes on my expense account.
Yeah.
So if it is tax deductible,
yeah.
and that's it. There's no funny money.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Again, and I work with, at one time I had 120 employees. There's no way that I could pay anybody under the table, first of all. And there's every single paycheck, every single benefit is tax deductible. So I want all those deductions, and because I've got a lot of money coming in.
Yeah.
And so we basically put everything on the books. Now, I know that's not going to be popular, especially since we said it, in your podcast, but that's what the problem is with this industry. They think that they can fool somebody, and maybe they can for 10 years, 20 years, or maybe their entire business lifetime. The problem is if they took that money and paid the taxes on it and bought a building, a home, cars, things like that are real assets, they would go up in value.
Yeah. So my father used to always say, may rest in peace, he always said, pay your taxes so you can sleep well at night.
Yeah.
Right? Always pay your taxes so you can sleep well at night, and do everything kosher so that you and Morris don't have a problem. And especially because it's a partnership. But did you start thinking this way back when you started? Was it something that happened along the journey? That's something somebody said to you, or was it just like, hey, I want this to be kosher. I want to be professional at this. So that's how you started?
The short answer is, I don't know if you remember episode 101. My dad was an economics teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad, I'm second generation or third generation, depending upon what you want to say, how you want to interpret the story. But yes, my dad said, hey, look, the old guys are going to do it this way. You'll sleep better at night. You will be able to trust people, and you'll be bankable, because again, most pawnbrokers are using their own money, not because they don't have assets, because they're not bankable. And if you can get money at 5%, 6%, 7%, I don't think I've paid any higher than 8% in the last 15 years. And that's to some employees that I use their investment in my company as a way to basically buy in. So I'll allow my employees to invest in the company. And I was paying 8%. Now I'm paying 6% on their money, which is still in these days a really, really good return. Yeah. And I was paying them 2% more for their money just to entice them to invest in their future. And at 8%, if I can lend money back out at 36%, that spread on OPM, other people's money, is huge.
Now, I will say, for those of you listening who are in states that are 20% states, 25% states, both Sam and I are in California. All in, we're at like a, close to like a 5% per month. So Sam is still borrowing money and lending extremely low interest and still happy with what he's making.
Absolutely.
Correct, Sam?
My average return, we're a 3% state with fees and charges, and the fees and charges add probably another 7 to 8% more. So all in, we're about 42%, 45% on a good day. And that's across the board on everything. Now, again, California has some minimum charges and things like that. So on a $10 loan, we're not working at 42%. But on a $1,000 loan, I'm working at 36% and happy to do it.
Yeah. So what else? We talked about know the law. We talked about keep your books clean. We talked about to be bankable. What else do you think is happening in the industry today that you see and you just grab your head and say and think like, I can't believe it. Like, why are people still doing this?
Nobody has ever won an argument with a customer. I laugh when I hear these stories about, boy, I really, took advantage of this customer, or I got this thing for, a steal. The guy didn't even know what it was worth. I'm not saying that I'm not looking for a bargain, but number one, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And so if I've got a Rolex coming in and the guy wants $400 or $500 for it, then, and I'm talking about a buy, not a loan, because I'd gladly loan $500 on a Rolex. But when we do that, that means that that's all the customer wants. I don't want the customer to get in over their head. But at the same time, I'm going to tell that same customer, hey, look, you only need $500 this time. But, if you ever need more money, come back and see me. You don't have to take it out. We'll just increase the loan. And I can lend up to, $3,000. And a lot of times they'll come in and say, oh, I get more money. Great, no problem. Then give me $1,000. I really don't need the $3,000. And basically you're selling the money. But when I look at some of these Google reviews, and they're 1-star Google reviews, and the guy, the pawnbroker, is saying, this guy was obnoxious, and this guy, he was unfair about this and whatever. It looks ridiculous to people. It looks like you're arguing with a customer. I'm apologetic. Hey, look, I'm not right all the time, but the customer's perception is important. Even if the customer's perception is wrong, you acknowledge it. And then I use the opportunity to say, hey, look, we're sorry that you had a bad experience. You waited in line for 30 minutes. We apologize. Hey, we allow appointments. So next time you come in, if you're in a rush on your lunch hour, we do want to help you out. Hey, make an appointment ahead of time. And, again, we'll give somebody a front of the line pass. We'll give somebody a certificate for $20 on their next purchase if they waited in line for a long time, or if they thought the employee was rude to them. And sometimes there's not chemistry between people. And if there's an issue with a teller and a customer, we'll switch the teller out. It's not that the teller is wrong. Just step back, we'll switch the teller out. Sometimes a woman has a problem with another woman, a woman wants to talk to another woman, it's just a personality conflict. That's all it is. And you move on. The customer is always right. And arguing with the customer is a bad idea.
I've actually seen, this is no joke, I saw a Google review response that said, just because you're a cokehead doesn't mean you're going to get what you ask. And I was just like, I cannot believe you said that. Like, I can't believe
it. It looks bad for you.
Yeah.
The pawnbroker, if they said, "Oh, I'm not going to that place," that place is full of cokeheads. You just badmouth your own shop.
Yeah. Now, what do you say to people who say, like, know the law, have your books done right, your accounting, treat the customers fairly? For people who say, like, oh, but Sam, you have more money than I do. Sam, you've got more employees than I do. Sam. I'm sure you hear this all the time. What do you say to that when people are making essentially excuses about not doing things professionally?
Well, first of all, I started out with $72,000 in a pawn shop. I bought a pawn shop for $72,000. Yes, it was another day. It was all the way back in 72. And we've had a couple of gold rushes between then and now. And things are different. It's a little bit more difficult now. But I walk into these shops and they've got $500,000 in inventory. And they've got a loan base of $200,000. They're in the business to sell. There is my loan inventory is 15 times the size of my sales inventory. 15 times the size of my sales inventory. If I have merchandise out that's dead merchandise that is not moving within 90 days, 180 days, I'm going to blow it out, because the merchandise in the back room is on a clock and it's ticking forward and it's making money each time. The merchandise in the front room is ticking backwards and it's costing me money every single day that I have it. You look at a piece and you say, hey, I have $10 in this piece and I have it out for sale for $50. Okay, that's great. How long have you had it? 2 years. 2 years, then lower the price. Oh, but it's worth more. Obviously, it's not worth more because it hasn't sold in 2 years. I'm waiting for the right guy. Well, the right guy to come in, great, no problem. So the people that are complaining that they don't have the money, two things. Number one, they're not bankable, because you can get all the money in the world that you want if you're bankable for a single digit amount of interest. Right? You can get all the money if you're bankable. Put up your house if you have to, because use the equity in your house and loan that money out. If I were in a 20% state and I could borrow money on my house, $200,000 on my house, and double, and I had $200,000 in loans, and double my loan base at even 10% or 15% rather than the 20%, put out twice the amount of money for half the amount of interest, then I do it, because number one, you're solving your problems for the community. Number two, if you have a foreclosure rate, get that foreclosure rate down as low as you can, but you have a foreclosure rate of 10%, 10% of $400,000 is a lot more than 10% of $200,000. And now you have all that inventory to turn and sell.
Yep.
So again, I was scrapping literally my inventory my entire inventory 3 or 4 times a year if I couldn't sell it when I was at the beginning of my career. We just turned the inventory to get it back out, because again, I'm a true pawnbroker. I'm not a retailer. I can't beat Costco. I can't beat Walmart. I can't beat Best Buy. They can buy wholesale from the manufacturer and have special models made for them for less money and sell it to the public for less money than I can buy merchandise wholesale for.
Yeah. Because of the volume. I get it. So let's do this. We've kind of and by the way, you're listening to this, you're still here. I appreciate you. I know this is not easy to hear sometimes, but when you look at the successful pawnbrokers, and I've talked to many of them, Sam, you say I've got thick skin. You say I don't care what people think sometimes.
No, I do care. I listen to what people say.
Yeah,
I do care. I process it, and if it's their problem, that's their problem. If it's my problem, I want to correct it.
So what I'm trying to say is that I speak to a lot of very successful pawnbrokers who think exactly the same way that you do, but just won't say it. So right, they say the same thing. Where how do we make the pawn industry more professional? You go, why are people not training their management team with leadership or sales? Why are like all this type of stuff? But you bring it to light.
Thank you very much. Again, sometimes I don't have the tact. Sometimes I'm just very blunt. But, I think that people have to hear it from time to time. And if people are trying to be too polite, or if people are not trying to offend people, sometimes people have to be offended. Again, some people have to hear, are you crazy? You did that. So, again, there's more than one right way of doing business. I'm not saying my way is right. It just works.
Yeah.
It works for me.
So now let's give some immense value on what does work. We're going to go over 20 ways to increase business and expand your client base. And we're going to go over this pretty quickly. So if you're driving, listen to this, take notes, listen to this a couple of times, because this is what has created major success in Sam's pawn shop, but not just Sam's. I'm looking over these things and it makes sense. I'm going to debate some of these and we'll talk about that when these come up. But we want to give ample value to those listening who've gotten a dose of the truth in the first 27 minutes of the show. All right.
Well, thank you. And again, I'm an open book, and I'll answer any question that anybody asks me. If anybody wants a copy of this list, I'd be more than glad to send it to them. sam@kingspawn.com. Just email me and I'll email them a copy of this outline. And if anybody wants to talk, I'm really not good on text messages. I'm decent on emails. I'm not on Facebook. I write these long dissertations and I'd rather talk to somebody. So I'm going to give people my cell phone number. They're more than welcome to call me.
Hold on. Let's not do that. Let's do the email. I don't want you getting text messages blowing up at night saying, I hate what you said on the podcast.
Okay, no problem. Again, I'd be more than glad to talk to somebody outright. But we touched on the first one, loan more money per item. I max out loans as much as I can. If a customer says, hey, look, I need as much money as I can. Well, how much money do you need? I need $50. Have you ever seen who the two guys that go around and buy the pickers, American pickers? Mm-hmm. You'll see from time to time, they'll negotiate back and forth. And on other times, the guy will say, well, I want $50 on it. He said, well, I was thinking about 75. I'll give you 75. I'll give a customer more money than they want if they need it. Yeah. If they don't need it, I don't want the customer to get in over their head. Because remember, I don't want the merchandise. I want the loan. I want to make the customer successful in picking up the item. So I'll max out an item. Or if the customer only wants a certain amount of money, I will tell them the max amount of money I can. And then if they come back, we'll bump the loan. I mean, basically, if there's room in the loan, we'll give them more money. They don't even have to take it out. They don't even have to pay the interest. We'll give them more money. The second way I have is to give a reasonable interest rate. At 20%, I would say less than 10% of the population is your customer, because that's a 240% APR. At 10%, it's 120% 120% APR. Probably 15%. So you picked up another 5% of the population are your customers. Now, the minute you go down to 5%, that's 60% APR, you're probably at 40%. Look at how many more people in your community are your customers. If you can get down to credit card rates, everybody's your customer. And we do all sorts of ways to get down there. We'll give you a 1.5% loan if, and California is a 4-month holding period. I hold for a year, and we'll get there in a minute. But if you want to pay the interest every single month, you don't have to. The interest for us is 3% a month, but we have a promotional first month interest rate, and the first month interest rate is 1.5% per month. So if you come in at the end of every single month and pay the 1.5%, it is not a one-time only. You can continue on a 1.5% interest rate as long as you make payments every single month. Remember, there's a couple dollars in there for a ticket writing fee and other things. So it's more than 18%. It comes out to be about 24% for us. But remember, I'm borrowing money at 5.5%, 6%. If I have $1 million out and I've got my rent paid and everything else paid, all I'm paying for is extra labor, extra paper, extra utilities and things like that. And I'll work on OPM, other people's money, with a spread of 18% all day long. If I'm paying 5% to the bank and I'm getting 24% on just a portion of my loans, it's not all my loans, then I'll work on that spread all day long.
I just got a gift from a pawnbroker in Florida, and inside he sent his business card that said "Home of the 5% loan," and that's a 20%.
That's Eric Morningstar.
No, it's another one. I know Eric Morningstar well, but there's another one who is in a different area who's emulating and who just says, like, I'm not going to charge 20+%. It's just not what I want to do.
Right. And people will come to him. Yeah. I have people literally that drive an hour and a half that comes to me. And we're talking about California freeway, an hour and a half
drive
is 60, 70, 80 miles. And they're spending a lot of time on the freeway just to come to me. They're going past all the other pawnbrokers that won't give them $10,000 on their Rolex Daytona stainless steel, and they're going to charge them 6, 7, 8% on their Rolex Daytona. So now they're coming to me. They're going to get 1.5% if they make the payment every single month, or worst case scenario, it goes to 3% per month, and I'm going to give them the amount of money that they need for that watch. So build it and they will come. People will come past other shops for first of all, you got to get the customer what they want. If you don't get the customer what they want, they're going to go someplace else because they need a certain amount of money. But if you are open more hours, and that's one of the things that is a way of expanding your loan base. Open more hours, open more days. I don't understand these shops. You were talking about shops that don't have the ability to loan out money. You do have the ability to loan out money. All you need to do is open more hours. If you've got the money, you should be loaning it out. Open on Sundays, open earlier, open later, open holidays if you can, and have a walk-up window if they allow that in your community, that will help you lend out money. A lot of people, a longer loan period. We were talking about my loan period in the state of California. The minimum loan period is 4 months. To a lot of states, that's going to sound really long, because there are probably 20 states that are 1 month loans. In 1 month, a customer does not have the ability to have a turnaround of their fate that brought them to you in the first place.
Say that again. In 1 month, a customer doesn't have
the time to have a turnaround for the reason that they came to you in the first place. Hey, I lost my job. Hey, my car broke down. Hey, my kid got sick. And they're taking money out of their paycheck. They're taking money to, pay their car bill. They're working hard. And sometimes they need 2, 3, 4 months. Even in the 1-month shops, they're renewing it all the time. So make it so that the customer doesn't have to renew it. If I've got $200,000 out on 1-month loans, I could probably lend out $400,000 in 2-month loans and $600,000 in 3-month loans, and so on and so on. Now, if you got a 20% interest rate, you're going to bury the customer because if they borrowed $100 and the payback at the end of 3 months is $160, you're going to bury the customer. So again, all of this stuff goes hand in hand, and you can't lengthen the loan period. You can't lengthen the loan period and keep your interest rate the same way. Maybe you can double the loan period, but you can't triple and quadruple it because you're going to bury the customer.
Yeah.
But if your competition is loaning money out at 1 month and loaning money out at 20%, and you're loaning money out at 2 months or 3 months, twice as long, 3 times as long as your competition, and giving them a better interest rate and giving them the amount of money they want, build it and they will come.
Yeah, agreed. You talk about specializing in jewelry or specializing in some aspect of the business, right? There's a lot of people who specialize in guns or in guitars. Is that what number 5 is specialized in a niche?
Yes, specializing in an item. I do jewelry, but you're right. If you are an expert in guns, if you're an expert in, I used to own a shop called Lawndale Jewelry and Loan. I bought it from a competitor of mine, and Lawndale is a beach city in Los Angeles, and a lot of musicians were there. And they had Martins, they had Gibsons, they had con flutes. I had a gold and a sterling silver flute at one time,
Wow.
Gold flute and a sterling silver flute at one time. And these are expensive instruments, and you've got to know what you're doing on them, how much they're worth, and in order to loan the right amount of money. And if you're a musician, if you know that stuff, then you can specialize in instruments. You can specialize in sporting goods. There's a place here. It's not a pawn shop. It's called Play Against Sports, and they specialize in sporting goods. So if that's your niche, if that's what you want, then specialize in it and loan the maximum amount of money, and you will get known for jewelry. You'll get known for firearms. You'll get known for musical instruments, and you're going to be the go-to place if a guy wants to borrow money on his guitar. We used to have a program called the Guitar Hotel, and you could borrow maximum amount of money on your guitar. So we had them bringing in their guitar. They were going on the road, and they needed, $5,000 to borrow to get on the road. And they bring in their expensive guitars. And if we needed to lend them the maximum amount of money, great. I've had them come in and want to borrow. And now we're going to have a lot of people saying, "You're crazy, Sam," and want to borrow $1 on their guitar because they didn't want it at home. Our store had fire sprinklers in it. It had an alarm system in it. We stored the guitars, upright so that they were, we took care of the guitars. And when they left their house, they didn't want their sleazy musician friends breaking into their house and stealing their guitar. So they would keep it in our store for safekeeping.
Nice.
And on $1 in the state of California, we make $1. We make $1 a month. And that's not a problem. And
Plus storage.
Well, again, we didn't charge storage back then.
Oh wow.
So on $1, that's 120% interest on
On your money.
on your amount of investment all day long. And then when they came back from their trip, they would say, "Hey, look, I spent a little bit extra money. That guitar that I had in for $1, I need an extra $500 to get started. And so therefore leave it in there, increase the loan from $1 to $500. I've already got their piece. I'm their go-to guy.
Yeah.
So, the Guitar Hotel, you could do it with guns. You could do it with, we here do a $1 safe deposit box. We're open. We used to be open 7 days a week before the pandemic. We used to have people come in on Sunday afternoon, pick up their diamond ring or their Rolex watch, wear it to their party on Sunday night, and come back and pawn it on Monday morning because a safe deposit box costs more than $12 a month.
Amazing. So let's go to number 6, enhanced services, right? You talk about setting appointments, express service. When I'm reading out of the, free authentication, appraisals, is just give great customer service, is above and beyond.
Great customer service. And again, one of the things, and you didn't get all the way down to the bottom, or maybe I added to this, bilingual contracts and bilingual notices.
Mm-hmm.
If English is a second language to you, we don't want to put you at a disadvantage. All of our contracts, all of our agreements, a layaway agreement, a receipt, a loan agreement, front and back, are all in English and Spanish because we're in California. If you're in a Thai community, or if you're in a
Arab community
or whatever, it's a little bit difficult. You'd have to have the contract translated, but Spanish is real easy. And we have people come to us solely because they like the fact that we speak Spanish to them. All of my employees are bilingual, and they're comfortable. They don't have to bring in, their 12-year-old son to translate for them. It's so embarrassing to bring in your kid.
You know how many stores I've gone to, Sam, where it's in a Latin community and it doesn't say like Casa de Empeño or Hablamos Español or nothing, just to make people feel welcome. I think that's important too, is like make people feel welcome.
Again, build it and they will come, make people feel welcome. A couple other things on this list. We clean everybody's jewelry when they take it out. We set everybody's watch. If your battery watch ran out of battery while it was in, we'll give you the batteries cost me $3. That's advertising. Yeah, I know that my watch repair guy sells them for $12. That's because he has to do the labor. In the meantime, we're doing it. We're replacing the battery. And are you going to come back to me every year just to pawn your watch to get it back out so that I put a new battery in there?
So I don't know if you had mentioned this to us years ago with my brother and I, but we started doing this. And what we realized is our jeweler was in front of the jewelry counter. So we would redeem the item for the person, their jewelry. We'd say, hey, we'd love to clean this for free. We'd throw it in the steamer, turn on the timer for 5 minutes, the ultrasonic in the steamer.
You sold them something.
Exactly. While they're there, they've got cash in their hand. They put something on layaway. They sold us something. They're looking at the jewelry that's out there. It's a brilliant move, not just for customer service, but to improve sales as well.
Yeah. The next thing is, and again, I'm going to get flack on this, do everything you can do to lower your foreclosure rate.
Yeah.
Because if you foreclose, I was talking to a pawnbroker the other day. He says, well, I have a high foreclosure rate. What's your high foreclosure rate? 30%. That means that 1 out of every 3 pieces he loans on, he can't loan the maximum amount of money because he's going to end up with it. And he has to worry about what his investment is with that piece. So if you can get your foreclosure rate down below 10%, that means that 90% of your customers are picking up their merchandise. 90%. And I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
You can loan a maximum amount of money. You don't have to worry about how much money you loan. You loan right up to the value of the piece because 90% of the time, that customer is going to come back and pick up their piece. And remember, the first thing you have to do is give the customer what they need. And if you're providing maximum amount of money and you are familiar with that piece, no pawnbroker in your community is going to beat you on price.
And a couple of things that you do here that's on the list is you call, you text, send a notice. I mean, there's multiple methods of communication to make sure that the client is getting what they need. For example, in California, people can send text messages these days. And a lot of people send text messages and don't care if it was received, don't care if there's an answer, don't care if someone needs a little bit more time. That's it. I sent my notice. I'm good.
They do that so that, again, I sent my notice so I can foreclose. I don't want to foreclose on a piece. I send a notice if it comes back. I send a text. If it bounces back, I send a snail mail. If the text bounces back and we have an email, we send an email. We will call people on a regular basis so that, hey, look, your item's not due yet, but hey, look, it's tax time. If you got a tax refund, come in and pay that loan down. We'll reduce the interest rate so that you don't have to take the piece out. We'd rather you not take the piece out.
Yeah.
But we'll reduce the interest rate. That way it makes it easier for you to take it out. Every single time a customer comes in, hey, I want to redeem this piece. We manicure. The first thing we do is we bring up the customer's summary. Hey, look, I know you want to redeem this piece. That's great. I know you want your watch back, but your wife's ring, I don't know if you know, you're in your last month. And if you have an extra money, pay the interest on your wife's ring so you don't lose it.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know that. Thank you for telling me. Well, let me take my wife's ring out, or let me pay the interest on this and the interest on this, so that, and they don't end up doing what they came in to do. We'd love them to do what they want to do, but they didn't even know how many times you come in and, hey, look, I was here last week and I took out this piece, and now I want to take out this. Well, I'm sorry, your piece foreclosed.
Why didn't somebody tell me?
Why didn't you tell me?
I want to bring something up really quickly before we go to the next one. Is I want you guys to put yourselves in the customer's shoes. Imagine you've got a piece of gold, a PS4, whatever it is, right? And it gets foreclosed on, and you can't get it back. I understand this is what happens. We're pawnbrokers, but we have to do as much as possible to not let that happen. Because if that customer gets foreclosed on and feels horrible, the chance of them coming back, recommending you, referring you, is slim to none. It's tough.
If you foreclose on a piece, either the customer's embarrassed to come back, the customer's mad at you, the customer's mad at you, or again, they say, gee, this guy didn't treat me right. I'm going to go to the competition. Yeah. So we don't want to give a customer any reason to go to the competition. We want them, hey, look, I pawned at this other place because you were open at 12 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And they were open at 12 o'clock at night. Well, great, no problem. Yeah, but you know what? You give me extra time, and he foreclosed on my piece 4 months and 10 days. If we send a notice in the state of California, you can foreclose 10 days after you send that notice. He foreclosed on the 11th day, and my piece is gone. Yeah. I'm never going back to him again. I'm sorry I ever went to him. I'm coming back to you.
And not just that, but for those of you who say, like, oh, I can't afford to pay somebody to make calls, we don't have time. In today's day and age, you can have VAs in almost every country, like the Philippines, Latin America, where you're paying very, very low hourly rates. You could send them a list. They can make the calls. They can do the work for you so you don't make the excuse that you don't have the time or the money to get that done. So let's go to number 8, loan on high valued and more types of items. This is amazing because I think that a lot of pawnbrokers, first of all, need to get more education when it comes to what we do. I see a lot of questions on different Facebook groups. How much should I get for this watch? How much should I get for this diamond? What do I get for this? What do I get for this? I think it's super important for you to train yourself, your management on, GIA, the diamonds course, take a watch course, call Deanna Thompson and take a handbag course. Take courses and learn about your business so that you can lend more money out, right?
Larger items. And again, hey, I hear pawnbrokers all the time. There was one, Martin from Canada. There was a new law, I guess, in Canada where loans over $1,500 they have to get a special license for or anything like that. And he said it's a good thing that most people don't lend $1,500. I don't understand it. A $1,500 loan at 5% is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so why wouldn't you lend? I made a $750,000 loan on a single item. Great, no problem. Angel, Jan's son, he made a loan of $200,000 on a watch. And then the customer came back and wanted to sell it, and he bought it, and he sold it to a wholesaler. Why wouldn't you want to make those loans? He was a winner at making the loan and a winner at buying it, and he made money. You just have to have the extra money to invest. And if it's sitting in your inventory, it's certainly not earning you 5% a month.
And that guy who borrowed $750,000 from you, if his friend is like, oh my God, I need $500,000, he's going to say, hey, go call Sam, go to King's Jewelry Loan.
And it happens all the time, word of mouth. Again, in Los Angeles, there's a couple places that'll make those loans.
Yeah.
Just think about if you were in Arkansas. Listen to Tim Collier, Kevin McDonald.
Mm-hmm.
They're in Arkansas. They're Braswell. Yeah. They're in Arkansas.
Douglas.
If they can run a high-end pawn shop making those loans in Arkansas, those loans. There's no Rolexes in Florida. There's no 4-carat diamond rings in Florida. Again, they're all over the place. It's there. If you have the money, loan it out. Don't be afraid. If you have the expertise. You're absolutely right with your first statement. You have to have the expertise, because if you're gambling with that type of money, you can lose big. So know what you're doing.
Yeah, love it. And by the way, I'm a big believer in investing in your staff to learn as well. Like every staff member should be a GIA certified, go get a diamonds course if they're looking at diamonds every single day. Have them train on sales, and we'll talk about that coming up. But let's go to number 9, which is
before you leave that, incentivize your employees to go to training. Yeah. We have GIA courses here that they can take, that once one of the employees takes it, we have all of the books and all of the paperwork and things like that. But I'd rather send them to the GIA or have them take a home studies course. And a full GG course runs about $7,000 or $8,000 now. Mm-hmm. I pay half. I will pay half, and I want the employees to invest in their future. They pay the other half. So if you want to invest $4,000 in your livelihood, and you pay $4,000, I'll pay $4,000. If you stay with me for a year after you graduate and complete the course, mm-hmm. I'll pay your half.
Oh, nice.
So now you stay with me for a year, and your education that you get. If you leave me a year and a week afterwards, I'm out of luck.
Yeah.
But you have an education that you can take somewhere else and use that education. It makes my business better.
Love it. So number 9, retain clients. I think this is very, very important. You talk about sending text messages, mail, walk list. And I actually saw the walk list when I went to go visit you, which I thought was amazing. The walk list, and I'm going to try to say this. If I'm wrong, let me know. Somebody comes in, they ask for $100 on an item. For some reason, you guys can't get to the agreement. They walk, but you have their phone number. You guys call them later that day and say, hey, wanted to know if you got the $100 that you needed. If not, we're still here at $80.
Again, the way it works is teller talks to the customer. They get how much they want. We give them the teller's cost. They bring in a manager. Nobody walks unless they have a manager talk to them, and they sell them, hey, I don't know if you know, but our loans are longer than everybody else. Our interest is less than everybody else. The maximum I can loan you on this is $75. That's the maximum I can loan you. And we give them the best the best rate that we can out the door, maybe even a few extra dollars more than we would normally. And if that still isn't, you can't satisfy everybody.
Yeah,
Maybe
sure.
we're the first or second place that they came to. If they're the first and second place and they haven't gone to the realization that they're not going to get $100, they need $100. So now you let them go someplace else. You
Yeah.
call them at the end of the day, and two things happen. Hey, if you're still looking for the $75, I'll pay your gas on the way back. Although the price of gas now is
Yeah, it's
$7 now, $7 a gallon. So I may not, but hey, look, I'll give you an extra $5 to pay your gas if you come back. And they'll say, well, I took it to a bunch of other places, and somebody offered me $100. Now you know that you've got to up your game, because somebody offered them more money, and we have to look at that. Why didn't you see that? Why didn't you see $100? I can't beat everybody's price, but I want to be competitive. And if I start hearing that too many times, I'm not competitive.
Yeah.
Or, hey, look, I took it to a bunch of places and you were the highest offer. I'm coming back to you tomorrow morning. But they would not have thought they were welcome, or would not have come back to you if you didn't call them. It's a walk list.
Yeah. So we're going to go through these next 10 pretty quickly. And as Sam said, if you want to email sam@kingspawn.com, is that what it is?
That's it. Sam at Kings, KINGSPAWN.com.
He will send you this list, and then we'll also put it into the show notes. So leverage other people's money. We talked about that. You can only do that if you are bankable, if your bookkeeping is kosher, if you're keeping it on the up and up. You can borrow money. We built our pawn shops on other people's money. We got $2.5 million of loans. We were able to grow the loan balance into millions because of it, thank God. And not just because of our credit, but because of the people that we were, right? We kept our word.
Yeah, basically in here, you got friends and family borrowing money. You can't invest in your own business, but your employees can. They can put their 401k in there. Again, I'm not a tax consultant, but
Correct.
There are ways of doing it. Retirement funds you can get money from. Here's one that's outside the box. Pot shops have tons of money sitting in their safe. The federal government will not allow them to put it in a bank. So they got tons of money sitting in their safes. A lot of them are looking for an investment. So, hey, look, pot shop down the street. Now I'm going to give you a 1099. This is all legitimate.
Yeah.
But if you want to earn 7% on your money that's sitting in your safe, earning you no money at all, give me your money and I'll pay you 6-7%.
Love that. That's awesome. Number 11, get involved with a local charitable, sorry, I can't even speak right. A charitable organization or association that's locally to you, like sponsoring teams, Make-A-Wish. I'm a big believer that pawn shops help the community, but we actually have to help the community outside of just lending them money. And when we do that, there's a sense of, so I'll tell you a quick story. Pawn shop on the left gets broken into, pawn shop on the right gets broken into. We don't get broken into. We asked one of the local gangsters who we knew. He said, that's because you guys donate so much money to the community. You guys help out so much. No one's going to shit where they eat. That was the phrase.
Yeah, Bob Moulton and Jeff Wilhelm are fantastic. You give them a cause, they're going to contribute to it. Yeah. Guitars to vets, they support whole school music programs. They are fantastic at it. Every beginning of the school season, we give away 500 backpacks. Amazing. To the kids. They don't have our advertising on the back. That's embarrassing to have a 7-year-old kid walking around with King's Pawn Shop on the back of his backpack. No, but their communities, they're our community, and sometimes the kid can't afford a backpack. Yeah. And so we give away we used to have a Santa Claus, and we're in an area that there's no malls, and the families would bring their kids down to the store to sit on Santa Claus's lap to take a picture of Santa Claus and get a candy cane, because we were their local go-to mall.
Love that.
So you can just get involved in your community. It pays off.
So partner with other businesses. A quick story: during the pandemic, I told my clients to call up the local Chinese food place, the taco shop, and say, I'll pay for your plastic bags if I could just put my advertising inside. And it did very, very well. So you're talking about partner with other businesses that are symbiotic: check cashers, pot shops, title lenders, divorce attorneys, jewelry
Divorce attorneys,
parties.
hold on, hilarious. And I know we're running out of time,
It's all
but
good.
I have divorce attorneys that need, hey, look, the woman comes to him, she's got no money because the man, cut her off, but she's got her jewelry, and he wants his $5,000 retainer. He wants his $5,000 retainer. And so he says, go to King's Jewelry and Loan. They'll take care of you. You get $5,000 in the ring. You get $7,000 ring. You get $10,000 in that ring. Give me $5,000. Live on $5,000, and in 3 months we'll have your old man wishing that he would have given you access to your checking account.
Love that. This is one of my favorites. Also, take advantage of technology and marketing. I think that I always mention to people that the pawn industry is years and years behind when it comes to technology, when it comes to marketing, and when it comes to making the investment in upping your game. If it comes to your software system, the way that you use social media. Here you've got things like apps, barcodes, RFID, optical character recognition, facial, so many things that you talk about here, but it all makes life so much easier.
Again, it not only makes it easier with RFID or barcode, you can take inventory and keep your inventory correct in literally hours. I had a store, I have a store that we have about 30,000 active loans and about 5,000 active sales items. And we start inventory on the day after New Year's at 8 o'clock in the morning. And we take care of inventory on both loan inventory and the sales inventory by noon.
Wow.
By noon, in 3 or 4 hours, I have a complete inventory.
So are all your pawns, the jewelry tags, they have RFID in them?
No, we don't have RFID in
Okay.
jewelry tags. We have barcode in the jewelry tags because unfortunately we learned the hard way. But with hard goods, you can do it. You can go down the whole aisle and with a scanner and
Yep.
pick up all the RFID tags. With jewelry, the problem is there's metal, and metal makes the RFID tag inaccurate. So
Gotcha.
anything that is freestanding, if you can get a tag that is away from the merchandise, like you would put a tag on, a stereo or
Yeah.
on whatever, you can RFID those easy.
Got it. Cool. All right. Number 14, allow client appointments. This one I love. When we talk about the busy people today, sitting in line or standing in line for so long is annoying. You want an appointment. You make appointments at the DMV. You make appointments when you go to pay your bills sometimes. Why not allow them to make appointments? So and something that you said here is senior citizens. People aren't going to want to stand for so long, right? Disabled people, vets. How do you make appointments currently? Do they go online and they book the appointment?
Through our website, and or they can call ahead, so they can we'll answer the phone. Hey, look, you're coming in at 3 o'clock. We have a 3:30 available. 3:30 is great, no problem. You walk in, and again, you've been in my store before. We have 16 teller booths, and sometimes they're all going. And if you come in at lunchtime, we'll maybe have 15, 20 people waiting, and you want to come in lunchtime, you want to be in and out, you jump the line. Everybody's saying, why did he walk in and walk right into a booth? Because he made an appointment. Here you go. Here's a VIP pass for the next time you come in. You can jump the line too. And if you don't have a VIP pass, just call ahead of time. So, the people, you take an opportunity where somebody's complaining, hey, look, I've been waiting for 15 minutes. You just let that guy in front of me. Well, yes, because he has an appointment. But you know what? Here's a VIP pass so you can jump the line the next time. And next time, take advantage of appointments. So
Love it.
home visits, again, I don't know if it's legal in certain people's states, but you can do home visits. Heck, if somebody calls me up and says, I'm coming in an Uber and I'm 15 minutes away, and the Uber driver is $5, $10, $15, and I'm bringing my Rolex watch in, I'll pick up the Uber. I'll pay for their trip in and the trip out.
Amazing. Number 15, online transactions and pay. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 2022. If you do not have online transactions, we have a problem. People pay their bills online. You pay your bills online. Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, all this type of stuff you pay. And if
Come
you're
out
not
of the 19th century, it's a 21st century already.
exactly,
Again, everybody's doing online, especially since the pandemic. The only thing I want to clarify is, and I'm famous for this, do it the right way. Make sure you understand the liability. If you want to take advantage of online payments and you're willing to accept the liability, then great. But to not know what the liability is and do it anyway, that's foolish.
Love it. Number 16, offer options. You talk about payment options, partial payments, extensions. I think it's just about being flexible while being legal, right? Like be flexible.
Exactly,
give people the option,
right.
Right?
Exactly
Be
right.
flexible while being legal. Give people, these are people who are down and out, people who need cash. If you have a layaway and they're forfeited today and they came tomorrow, sorry, your layaway is forfeited. Wait a second. Like give some people some time. You make mistakes.
I want to talk about layaways for a minute, and I know
Yeah.
that we're running out of time. A lot of people do these 10, 10, and 10.
Yeah.
And that's great. But why would you want to hold merchandise for 10 months? Remember, I'm in jewelry. The other day, the price of gold went up $200 and came down $200 within a week.
Yeah.
And so if you bought it at the bottom and it didn't come down, or if you bought it at the top and it did come down, I want to have as fast a turnaround as I possibly can for my layaways. So rather than 10, 10, and 10, which you want to do, that's great, do a 20% down or a 10% down and a 20% per month or a 10% per month. And at the end of 5 months, either you're paid off, or if you're not paid off, then I'm going to creative finance. No problem. Would you loan 50% on the merchandise you sold?
All day.
All day long. So great, no problem. Now what we're going to do is we're going to lend you the other 50%. You pay 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%. At the end of 5 months, you have 50% down. I'm going to now take the item and make a loan on it. And not only am I going to make a loan on it, I'm only going to charge you on merchandise that you took out of layaway and put it in pawn. It's my merchandise. I know it's well worth it. I'm only charge you 1% interest. 1% interest, and you pay every single month. And now you can pay the 10% and bring it down each month. Mm-hmm. So you pay the 1% interest and 9% on the piece, or you can bring the principal down or whatever. And every single month you're going to come in to maintain the 1%. And you're going to have the piece out. And in the meantime, what did I just do? I increased my loan base.
Gotcha. Got it. Love it.
Why would you hold longer?
17, we talked about liquidating turn sales inventory. Ladies and gentlemen, people ask me all the time, Igal, what's the average turn rate in the pawn industry? The average doesn't matter for me. You've got to just turn your inventory. Some people have 9. Some people are at 1, which is not okay. At least in my case, my belief is at least should be 3.
Yeah, I'm 4. I'm right? 4, and we turn our inventory 4 complete times a year.
Yeah,
and I'd like to do it more.
Yeah, yeah. Priority service. I love this. Give seniors priority service. Those who are disabled, priority service. You talked about this VIP passes, front of the line passes. If somebody is a customer who's a gold customer, like look at your customer list, right? And if somebody has been making you $50,000 a year through pawn service charges, through sales, they not treated differently, but they should get a VIP pass. Hey, let me know. Give them a call. Whenever you're going to come in, text us. We'll let you to the front of the line. Somebody who's giving you that much money, it's kind of like a rewards program just for that.
We have a greeter at the front door that basically, like at the DMV, well, you know DMV because California,
Yeah.
but they have a greeter that tells you where to go because it's so complicated. Our store is a little complicated. So if you come in and you just want to buy something, you go straight to the sales and we get a sales associate for you. But if you want a loan, you're going to have to wait in line sometimes. But if you come in uniform, I don't care whether it's a police uniform, I don't care whether it's a fireman's uniform, I don't care whether it's a military uniform, or if you have your military identification, any type of civil servant identification, you're going to go right to the front of the line. We appreciate the people that serve our community.
Love that. Love it. Number 19, promotions, giveaways, contests.
Yeah, there's 100 of them. If they want the list, I could be more than glad to give them a list. But we constantly have a promotion or giveaway or something like that. One story, every month we give away popcorn.
Okay.
I have a popcorn machine. I also have an ice cream machine. And for Father's Day, we have Father's Day types of ice cream, Rocky Road, things like that. For Mother's Day, we have, pastel type, strawberries and sherbets and things like that. And we'll give ice cream away to everybody. So popcorn, we have a popcorn machine. We're making fresh popcorn. We're giving it away to all the customers. So one St. Patrick's Day, I come up with this great idea. We're going to take food dye and put it into the popcorn and pop green popcorn. Fantastic. And we pop green popcorn and the store opens up and we have 60 bags of green popcorn. We're going to make more as the day goes on. And after about 5 minutes, my guy at the popcorn machine says, "Hey, Sam, we have a problem." I said, "What's the problem?" He says, "Come on out." I said, "No, what's the problem? I'm busy." He said, "Come on out." So I come out to the front and he says, "Talk to Mr. Smith." I just gave him a bag of popcorn and I talked to Mr. Smith, and Mr. Smith's teeth are all green. How did I know the green? So don't do that, guys. Just get regular popcorn. No colored popcorn for St. Patrick's Day. Anyway.
So, 19, promotions, be creative, right? Be very creative. If you're boring, then you are not going to grow. You got to be exciting. You got to be different. Create promotions, the giveaways, the contests, so that people can talk about you, which is number 20. We're going to end off with this.
Not only that, but like I said, we had a store that specialized in music instruments.
Mm-hmm.
All of our guitar picks we gave away, and they all had King's Jewelry and Loan on it, Lawndale Jewelry Loan on it at the time. Guitar straps, we gave them away.
Awesome.
Find a giveaway that people are going to use and have with them. So the little bowl by the nightstand that when you go to sleep, you take your jewelry off and you put your jewelry in the nightstand in the bowl. Give away bowls. That way, every single night before they go to bed, they're putting their jewelry in a little bowl that says King's Jewelry Loan on it.
Love it.
Think about you every night before they go to sleep.
Love it. So number 20 is tell a friend, word of mouth. And this is all I think comes down to this, Sam. The 19, what you do in the 19 is what makes 20 happen, which is people talk and say, "This is the best pawn shop. I can't believe this happened." They walk out and they say, "Was that a pawn shop? That was amazing. The customer service, how they attended me, the fact I got to make an appointment, I got to pay my pawn online, I got to see their stuff online." It all creates word of mouth, and word of mouth is the most powerful way to get new customers in.
We reward employees for going out on a day off and handing out cards. We reward customers who walk in and bring in a first-time customer. We give them a $20 gift certificate. And even if the loan's a $10 loan, I got a new customer. So that's all customer acquisition. What does it cost you to acquire a new customer? If it costs you $7, $10, $20, give that money away to somebody who's going to be your advocate. And again, I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for it. We're closing up, but I've got 6,600 Google reviews, and people look at Google and they come to me because I have 66. How many is too many? I don't know. I really don't know, but I'm not there yet. And I'm not going to stop getting Google reviews if people want to give me Google reviews.
Yeah, yeah, and they're important. So with that, we're going to close out. Sam Shocket, thank you so much. And by the way, if you want this information, send an email to sam@kingspawn.com. We'll put this in the show notes as well. Sam, 100 episodes ago, you came on, you gave amazing value. Now you're giving incredible value and fire. And by the way, I want to say something. A lot of people don't understand you sometimes. A lot of people think, oh, Sam Shocket, he's got, this and he, but the truth of the matter is that when you surround yourself with successful people, you learn some things. And the best thing about you is that you're open. And you said this to me all the time. If you could teach me something, I'll learn it. I'm here to learn. Right. Yeah, and at the same time, you share so much information.
I will give somebody 10 good ideas as long as they give me one. That's one more than I had before. Yeah. So I constantly, here's a good idea. Here's a good idea. Here's a good idea. Hey, look, I walked into Morris's store, and he has sort of like a grab bag. Mm-hmm. It's items that you can see them actually. I think, they had a window on them, and yeah. I thought it was a phenomenal idea. We're using that right now.
Like the closeouts.
I can learn something from anybody, and you can learn something from me.
Yep. Pawn family, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to join us in the Pawn Leaders community on Facebook. Stay tuned for the next episode. And Sam Shocket, thank you so much for what you do for the industry.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much for having me on. Remember me for episode 301.
God willing. Take care, brother.
Appreciate it.
Take care. Bye-bye.